So it's such a beautiful morning, but it's also pretty cold. Now, often what I've noticed on a very cold evening, it almost takes a while for the animals to come out, especially when you are looking out for something like giraffes, maybe elephants. So for now, let's quickly head to our tech loop. Everyone. So it is a pretty cool morning, and as I was saying, sometimes it takes a bit of time for animals to warm up and start moving. You often see animals like wildebeest, zebra, impala might be... Oh, here we go. We have some impala right in front of us as we speak. Just want to quickly switch off. You'll even notice that they look like they have a bit of a different color. You'll see the one that's moving from left to right. If you notice, there's a bit of a darker color than the one in the middle. Now, often when it's very cold, the hair starts standing up. See how they just... all of them just moving across. Now looking at them, they do look very relaxed. Now, Lily, you're asking a very good question. What's the difference between antelope and impala? So, in regards to, are you referring more to the something like possibly a gazelle, or because impala would be grouped as the family antelope, so they all fall part of that. So when we say antelope, it also refers to the impala, and it could refer to possibly other things like wildebeest, steenbok, springbok. So there's quite a few animals that it could be linked to, but whenever we talk about antelope, it could also refer to impala, so they fall with that bigger family. I just quickly want to hear on the radio, I think one of the rangers might have located something. Roan, go ahead. Copy, make him right. So just to let everyone know, apparently we said we want to look for cheetah this morning, and one of the rangers said right in front of us, they found cheetah. You know, this is, oh my goodness, let's just get there. Copy. So these cheetah might move out of the property, so what we want to do is get there as quickly as we possibly can. Oh, so it's not too far from where we are now. So while we're going to do that, let's head across to Lauren with some wild dogs, or looking for the wild dogs.
Oh, cheetah, how exciting. One of my absolute favorites. The doggies have gone into this drainage. I was hoping they would circle back onto quarantine. Quarantine's actually a perfect area for them. They've gone after the impala. Now I just have to find the impala. The impala knew it. They knew the dogs were around. They knew it. I'm going to have to make a decision up here on what road to take. Phoenix, you're 11 years old in the USA. No, they're not dangerous to humans. They're really not. We've actually had some lovely encounters with wild dogs on foot when we do our bushwalks. So they're curious. What are these primates on two legs with blonde hair? What are they? But they're not dangerous. They're really not dangerous. They can't be tamed though. There's been lots of unsuccessful attempts, Phoenix, for humans to try and tame the dogs, to try and get them to be pets, and it doesn't work. They're designed to be wild, of course. I don't know. Ravi's saying this way. I really, really don't know. We're just going to have to take a guess, I'm afraid, at the speed these dogs run at. So yes, they're not dangerous to us. We don't have anything to worry about. Aina. I hope that I've said your name right on one of those 2 attempts. You're from Singapore as well. And yes, not closely related to coyotes, but they're both in the Canidae family. So what that means is the dog family. There's 34 species, and African wild dogs are one of them, and the coyotes are also one of them. So not closely related, but yes, they are. They're grouped together in the Canidae family. I would love to see a coyote. How exciting. I've just heard one of my favorite animals. It appears that Nikki has finally managed to get those cheetah for you all.
So we were so fortunate, like not too far from where we saw those impala, Roan and Sean, they managed to spot a cheetah, 2 males. So have a look at that. That is so amazing. That's the first time in such a long time that I've seen cheetah in this area. I don't ever think I've seen cheetah in this area, so they're so special. That is absolutely amazing. And what would be interesting to see is when the brother comes around, because often when male cheetah are together, they are brothers. That form like a brother bond, and it's known as a coalition. So it'll be interesting to see where the brother is. I think he's just laying behind the tree as we speak. But one thing that really stands out with the cheetah for me is definitely the tear mark next to the eyes. You'll see it from the eyes. It looks like there's like these dark streakings that run from the eye to just above chin. And of course, instead of having the rosettes like the leopard, they have these spots. Dash 87 Akira 85, you ask a really good question. Why do these potentially dangerous animals not attack humans? It's just because they don't see us as food. I mean, like a cheetah, look at this, the size of this cheetah's head. You'll notice that in order to be one of the fastest animals in the world, like he had to give up something. So he gave up size and strength. And because he gave up size and strength, he can't rely on overpowering something by physical strength. So what he needs to rely on is speed. But look, it does look like he might have spotted something. I'll finish the question now. So let's see, because there were some impala earlier in that area that he was looking into. So let's just have a look and see if we can hear anything, or maybe even see if his brother joins up with him. But just to finish off that question, so like for them, whenever they also go towards prey, or if they want to catch anything, they have to solely rely on using their speed. And what they then do is they almost trip the animal, and as soon as it falls down, they'll jump on them and grab hold of the throat and then suffocate them. But for people, they're very scared of people. Oh, look at him now. You see how he's like picked up his tail? So what he's doing is actually scent marking the area. So he's spraying his urine against that tree to tell the other cheetahs that this is his area. Wow, that's so beautiful. Look at that. Just look at that long tail and the white tip at the end of the tail. So beautiful. But I just wanted to just carry on with that very interesting question. So for us, we never try and push too close to a, you know what? I'll finish that question soon. Just have a look. The brother is actually going to come and join up together. Wow, look at that. That is officially, like I would always say, like cheetah are very, very close to my heart. I think out of all the predators, they're probably the most beautiful to me. And it's so interesting, like if we look at how he's looking at that bird behind him, but he knows, like he's not, just the early yawn, because it's early in the morning. But a very slender cat, like if everyone has a look, like you see how, like with the whole body, it's very streamlined, very long tail, small-ish head in comparison to the leopard and the lions that we've been seeing over the last little while. Sandra from India, age 10, you're asking a very good question. Do all cheetahs have the same spot pattern? And the question is, like our fingerprints, each and every one of them have a different spot pattern. I mean, like in regards to, they have spots, like all the cheetah will have the same spots. However, where the spots are located on the cheetah will be different to every single cheetah. So that's what makes them pretty special. And often with cheetah, so you'll notice that they are laying down in quite an open area. So we came to this area earlier on. I'll continue my story soon, but for now, let's head across to James for some elephants.
We've got a lovely herd of elephants that's just coming out of the rising sun. And this cow is looking at us a little suspicious. She's keeping the rest of the herd behind her, so that she's standing between us and them. Now watch her body language very carefully. See how her head is raised up. She's not feeding. She's standing tall. She's listening and watching us carefully. This is almost certainly the matriarch of the herd. She is their leader. She is their protector. She is the one who must look after their security. And so she is standing here within a posture that says to us, "No closer, please." I'm just going to keep very quiet now. Now, it's very important in a position like this to make sure that if she does decide that she's really angry, we can go forward. We can do that. We just have to start the car and we can move forward. You don't want to be backing away from an elephant that's not happy. We're also now in a position where if I start the car, it'll probably make the situation a little bit worse because it sounds like a threat. And so we just sit here and we relax, and hopefully she too will relax quietly. Move quickly. Hold on tight, okay? I don't think we're going to have to move quickly. I just want to make sure that Owen is comfortable and ready if we do have to. We don't want to leave him on the ground here. She's relaxing now slowly. And it is very interesting how elephants respond to our voices and to our movement. And so we're going to sit very, very still on the car. She's feeding, so she's quite relaxed. But it's always interesting to me how no matter how much time I spend around elephants, when an elephant, especially a cow, turns and lifts her head and opens her ears out like that, my heart starts to race. And that's a good thing. You never ever want to be complacent around elephants. They deserve our respect completely. And I always used to talk about the fact that we spoke of the lion as the king of the jungle always. In my mind, there's only one real ruler out here, and you're looking at it. Rhea and Aya, elephants eat plants because that's what they evolved to do. It is a strategy that is successful for them. They have a digestive system that is suited to eating plants. And interestingly, you'll find that the world's biggest animals often are plant eaters. I suppose with the exception of the big sea whales, the big baleen whales, which aren't really plant eaters. But out here on land, you'll find that elephants and hippos and rhinos and buffalo and giraffe, all of them are plant eaters. You don't really get many enormous carnivores. You used to get quite big ones, but nothing like the size of some of the herbivores. So once an animal gets beyond a certain size, it doesn't make sense for it to eat meat. I hope that answers your question. There are more elephants coming up now towards the right-hand side. Alright, we're going to say goodbye to the kids. Well, we're not going to say goodbye to them, but we're going to open up now questions from everyone else. You can talk to us using hashtag WildEarth or the chat stream on YouTube or Twitch as we sit with this magnificent elephant matriarch, not 5 meters from us. We're just going to be very careful, very quiet. Not make any movements on the back of the car. There's another group of elephants now coming up, like I said, from the right. She's watching them too. And I'm just going to ask you to stay exactly where you are. Don't move towards the other ones. Just because this cow is obviously a little bit irritable. There's now one coming straight up to us from the other side. We are now surrounded. This young bull here doesn't give 2 hoots about anybody. He's going to do what he likes because he's a teenager, and all teenage mammals think that they can do what they like. Now in a situation like that, it's not actually the youngster you want to watch out for. It's always the bigger one. But they're now digging. dash, they use those tusks like tools. So they use them for digging, for scraping bark, breaking sticks. And because of that, like a tool that's used a lot, they just get a bit of damage. And that's why the tusks are cracked up. What a special sighting. Now the rest of the herd, all of them, has moved up behind us. And she's still eating quietly in front of us. Now, let's see if she just disappears. Or if she thinks that we should disappear before she wants to. In which case we will, of course. Hello, Foxy Roxy, quite a name that. Foxy, what she's doing, she's digging. So she's not rubbing her feet on the ground, she's digging. She might even throw soil at us. She's digging out roots. Sometimes she'll pick up sand and throw it on herself. Can't move right now, and so we're not going to for the next little while. Let's go back up to the north where Mickey is sitting with his magnificent cat.
So we've just been having a look at these two males, and it does seem like they are lifting their heads like to have a look around and scan, and there are quite a few impala in the area, so it'd be worth it for us to stick with them this morning and see what they might be up to. But early on I wanted to just mention out, you can see they're laying in quite an open area, and they are very vulnerable, especially if there are lions around. Now this is the same area where the lions were in yesterday, so they have moved off, and you can see the cheetahs have moved into the area, so they're very wary, and they probably, as they were moving, they probably would have smelt where the lions were laying down or even moved through. So now they're just carefully scanning around to see if there's anything. You'll even notice the way they are laying down, the wind is actually blowing from us towards them, so like a little breeze. So they're laying down in such a way that if anything had to walk behind them, they'll be able to smell it. But if something had to come from down, you see from those thickets behind them, if something had to come from there, they'll be at least able to see it. So yeah, very experienced, and I think these two brothers, also just judging by their facial features and their size, and that might be close to 6 or 7 years old, which is a pretty good age for cheetah, and also very experienced, especially for the males. So it'll be interesting to see if they do decide to get up, where they're going to move from here. But it is an animal that we don't often see around. Like I know at andBeyond Pinda we used to see quite a few of them, and the reserve is very well known for the cheetah, but often here at andBeyond Ngala, to see something like this is a really special treat. Sarah, age 11 from Singapore, you asked a very good question. Who is faster between a cheetah and Usain Bolt? Well, I think, just to give you an idea, Usain Bolt can run the 100 meters, what is it, at 9.57? Is that the world record? And I think these cheetahs, just to give you an idea, from 0 kilometers an hour to 110 takes them not even 4 seconds. So this cheetah would probably run the 100 meters in 4 seconds. So that's a little bit faster than Usain Bolt. But I think he'll give him a good go, though. Nishka, age 6, you asking a very good question. With cheetah, do they live in families, or how does that all work with their structure? So the males often stick together. They form a brother bond. We mentioned a bit earlier on, we just touched it. It's called the coalition. So that means when two brothers stick together for life. Now, they don't really have, with lions, they have a pride. You have maybe 2 males or 1 male, and there's quite a few females. The cheetah are not like that. So the females are by themselves and the males are by themselves. The males only go join up with the females when they're ready to mate. Otherwise, they don't really interact a lot. And the only groups that you would really see would be a mother and her youngsters. Otherwise, I mean, it's just the males that stick together, and the youngsters, once they get to around about 1.5 years, that's when the mom starts pushing them off. And then they'll start fending for themselves. But often what makes cheetah so interesting is, like what I've noticed, and from all my time as a guide, most of the time that I've been guiding, I've spent a lot of time with cheetah. And it's so interesting to see their behavior, especially when they do grow up. So, like, imagine these 2 males here. So I can imagine the mum she would have probably had between 3, maybe 4 youngsters. And one of them might have been a sister. Could have been a younger brother that unfortunately passed away. But let's say there was 3 of them all together. They would have been with the mom. And then once they got to 7 months old, mom would start introducing them to hunt. So then she'll go catch something small, bring them to them, and they have to learn how to kill it. It is hard to see, but it's the only way that they can learn. It's the only way that mom can make sure that one day they'll be able to survive. And then once they got to 1.5 years, that's when the mom probably said, all right, listen, this is time for you two to start heading off by yourself. And so they were pushed off. And after they were pushed off, now they became nomadic. So they just moved from one area to another, avoiding all the dominant male cheetah in those areas. They didn't lift up their tail. They didn't spray the urine to mark their territory. They just kept under the radar as long as they possibly could. And then, as they grew older, from 3, 4 years old, maybe 5, they started becoming more and more dominant. And they might have come into this area, and you'd never know. Maybe the dominant male cheetah that normally occurs in this area was all by himself. So it's easier for 2 to push out 1 than for 1 to push out 2. And so therefore, they probably started pushing him out. And now, they are the dominant males in this area. So how I know that is earlier on, remember that one was standing, with his tail against the tree, and he lifted up his tail and he scent marked against the tree. So that's a sign telling us that he is actually telling all the other cheetahs that this is my area and we don't want you anywhere near. So it'd be interesting to know who or where they actually come from. But probably the first time that I've seen these 2 males here at andBeyond in Ngala. There are other cheetah around, but I haven't seen these 2 yet. Who knows, there might even be new males that have come into this area. Look at that. You can see the belly does look like they might have had a meal maybe a day or 2 ago. So we're going to stick a bit longer with the cheetah and see if they start moving and try and follow them for this morning. But for now, let's head across to Laura and hear if there's any update on those wild dogs.
Sadly not. The dogs have ran. I have a funny feeling, my gut's telling me they've gone south. Chitwa actually wouldn't be a bad place to check. But as I was searching, I've also came across fresh leopard tracks. Very, very fresh. So, decision time. I'm just going to get to the junction again where I actually saw these leopard tracks and figure out where they're going. But either way, I think I'm headed south now.
Sounds like there's some jackal alarming.
Just turn my game drive radio down. Oh, there's another vehicle. I think they're probably also looking at those tracks. So we'll just give them a little bit of space. And then I'm going to study the ground and see where they're going. I'm trying to be polite. He's trying to be polite. Okay. Now I saw leopard tracks around this junction, and unfortunately I'm going to have to put my head to the ground, everyone, to actually see which way they're going. This is the famous junction that I always talk about. Can you see any on your side, Davi?
No, they were on that side.
They were on this side. Okay. Aha, gotcha. Gotcha. Female leopard. Who are you and where are you going? These tracks are absolutely tiny. I'll maybe try and see if I can show you them. You see this perfect one here, Davi? All right, there, at about 3:30 o'clock. Yes, look at that. I don't think that's the perfect one I was looking at, but I am going to jump out and show you. So right here, this one is absolutely pristine. And why I'm showing you this is because you can see the ridges of sand, that 3 back pads here, and it's almost in perfect condition. That's how we know that it's fresh. Now I'm going to show you something because we get asked a lot, how do you know a track is fresh? So if this track was old, obviously wind, weathering, vehicles driving past, all sorts of things, can you see how different that looks? It's exactly the same track, but it's not as sharp, it's not as crisp. I hope that makes sense. And I thought I heard something there. You see the edges are not as pointy anymore. I've blown some sand over it and almost looks, you can see it's a leopard, female leopard, but it doesn't quite look as fresh. Whereas if you put your hand down like this, you can see the crisp edges of the sand. This is fresh, very fresh. Arla, no we can't. Got a bigger one that looks like a male coming in the other direction. This is confusing. Arla, no we actually can't, unless there was a significant feature, maybe a funny claw or an injury in the pad that we could pick out. We can't. We can guess, and how we do this is basing it on location. So we're on Zoe's Road right now, heading south, and we do know the males and females that actually use this path. So in that regard, we could possibly guess, but it is just a guess. We've got it wrong sometimes. Sometimes we think we're following males, and we assume it's Hukamuri and been Mulawati. So it's actually best not to guess, but we can tell the difference between male and female, and just gauging by the location, we can probably guess who it is. But Arla, no, we actually can't tell exactly who it is unless it was some sort of feature that was significant to that individual. There's a lot of tracks here. There's been a male leopard and a female leopard that has moved here during the course of last night. I'm going to have to go back to the and figure out. Okay, while I figure out exactly where these tracks are going, we're going to send you guys back across to Nikki with this cheetah.
This one on the right has been yawning quite a few times. Not often with cheetahs, not always the case, but whenever they start yawning, especially... Oh, look, another yawn. So often when they start yawning like that, it's a good sign that they might start moving pretty soon. Now, often with cheetah, they do prefer hunting in the day. And the reason being is because some of the other predators like lions and leopards, they tend to move into a bit more cover and they'll rest up for the heat of the day, only to start moving late in the evening. So in saying this though, cheetah can hunt at night, especially on full moon or whenever there's a bit of light available. But they do prefer hunting in the day when the other predators aren't moving. as they would be moving. So for us, this is just such an amazing thing to see. And the thing about them is they can move quite far in a day as well. I mean, if these cheetah decide they're going to move, they can move up to 20 kilometers a day. See, this one is turning around. He is getting more and more restless. Okay, Williamson, you asked a very good question. Do the hyenas follow the cheetah as they would with let's say, wild dogs, or maybe even sometime with leopards? So not really. Like, if in terms of where they are now, like, a hyena won't necessarily come in and follow them. However, if they do make a kill, normally the noise that comes from that, the hyenas are attracted. And you can see, like with the cheetah, they're not really built to chase a hyena away. So the hyena could easily, like, steal the kill. So the cheetah try and avoid them at all costs. They'll move as quickly as they can away from them. And as soon as the cheetah make a kill, they'll try and eat as quickly as they possibly can before the hyenas or any other scavengers come around. Now, I've often seen with males like these, if they do make a kill, you'll see they'll try and drag it into the shade of a tree so the vultures can't see it. Because often, if the vultures come down, then the hyenas will arrive not long after. Let's have a look at the brother, if they can start rubbing their heads against one another. Oh, a little bit playful. Wow, how beautiful is that? You can see, just judging by their belly, they probably haven't had a meal for quite a bit. But let's look at the trees, because often with males, especially dominant males, they'll walk, sniff the trees, they'll pick up their tail. So let's look at that tail, see if he picks it up, and then they'll start urinating against the tree. There we go, tail up, urinating, like, see, back feet, often rubbing the back feet. And you'll see this is what they'll do as they move through their territory. Lilu, you asked a very good question. Do cheetah vocalize like leopard? Now, cheetah won't necessarily go and make calls. So they won't vocalize like a lion or like a leopard in order to establish their territory. They mainly do it by smell. And also by one, and saying that is they'll go and defecate or they'll go and urinate at certain points, and that's in order to establish their territory. However, if they do separate the two brothers from each other, they have a very high pitch call. It sounds almost like a bird call. It's like a... And there's a lot of theory that says, like, because they do that, like, predators don't realize or don't think that it's cheetah, and there's quite a theories around it. But I think it's such an interesting call, because if you think about a cat, you almost think like a cat-like noise. However, it does sound like the chirp of a bird whenever they call one another. So what I think we'll do is they are moving into another open area, and I just want to loop around, because if they had to spot something and start running, there's no way we'll be able to keep up with them. So we're going to try and loop a little bit closer and see if we can see them from a different angle. See that one is just crouched down on the grass, probably smelling. Remember, we said the lions were here yesterday, so maybe he's smelling, seeing if it's possibly lion. Maybe there could be another female cheetah that moved through the area that are scent marked in that spot. So you can see this one's also moving back to the trees, and I wonder if he's also going to go probably just scent mark. We'll have a look, see if he like loops around the tree, picks up his tail again. So that's a very important thing to look out for, especially that tail. I think he's moving off a bit further than his brother. And let's go back to his brother. does look like he might be eating something. Now, it'd be interesting to know what it is, and maybe there's... Because often with cheetah, they don't really scavenge. They won't eat anything that has been dead for, let's say, 2 or 3 days. And often, not even something that's been dead for a day. So they tend to eat only what they need, or what they've killed that day, or if there's something that's very fresh. And just see the brother now, he's actually moved into the sun. He's sitting down next to that tree where he was earlier. Avery, you're asking a very good question. Do the cheetah... Oh, look. Two brothers are running to each other. What we'll do is we'll just try and loop around. And then I'll ask a question. Avery, you had a good question with the cheetah. Do they need the sun in order to warm up? So they don't really. I think from those that actually need the sun, I think myself and Marcel needs the sun more than them. Because it is a pretty cool morning. I actually teased. I said we had to wear 2 shorts this morning. But for now, let's see if we can go around and get another glimpse of those cheetah. Does look like if they carry on... So if they carry on the way that they're doing now, we might just get them where we saw that herd of impala earlier on. But for now, let's send you across to James, who's tracking at the moment.
On a Saturday morning, I like to lie next to a pile of poo and tell people about it. It's my favorite hobby. This particular pile of poo was not made by a carnivore, and that is why I'm lying in such close proximity to it. Were it made by a carnivore, it would almost certainly assail my nostrils to the point at which my nose actually melted off my face. This is the poo of a porcupine, which walked this way sometime during the course of this morning early. I know that because it is still relatively warm. I'm not going to touch it. It is that red color because it's probably been eating some tumbuti bark. That's what the porcupino likes to eat. Now, I am putting on what is known as a very brave face because, unfortunately, when we were sitting at those elephants, well, not unfortunately, while we were sitting with the elephants, I was looking down at the ground, didn't see anything, and as we drove off, we found some tracks of a leopardess on the ground. And they are definitely Tundi's tracks, and they went back into Torch, which is the reserve to the east of us. The most frustrating thing about that is that when we drove a little bit down the road, she's on top of the doves and the franklins from this morning, which means we cannot have missed her by more than an hour. She must have been there between now and when it was dark. What else can I say other than dash it? That's not what I said earlier, though. Maybe she's got a kill, and maybe she's going to fetch the babies. I can't see her moving those babies in the day, though. So what we're going to do is quickly pop over to Buffelshoek Dam, have a quick look at Buffelshoek Dam, and then we're going to go straight back down the same road, because if there is a kill and she's going to take them to it, she'll move on the same path that she walked now. Yeah. Oh, JD, you just tell the difference between animal tracks through practice. It's like identifying anything else. It's like being able to identify, I don't know where you live, but maybe you are living in a city and you know how to identify different kinds of cars. It's just simply because you've seen a lot of them, and so you know what's a Mercedes, what's a BMW, what's a Dodge, what's a Buick, what's a Chev, what's a Volkswagen or a Golf, and it's just because you've seen them. And so it's exactly the same. I've seen thousands of tracks over the course of the last however many years I've been out here, and so you start to learn them. What is the really difficult part, though, is assessing whether those tracks are fresh or not. And in this case, it was really easy, because firstly, I know that she walked down that same road yesterday, because we had her tracks there yesterday, and secondly, they were on top of everything else. And what made us able to ID them or to age them to within an hour was the fact that they were on top of doves that had walked on the ground and francolins which had walked on the ground. And those birds don't go down onto the ground before it gets light. And it's only been light here just over an hour. So sometime between it getting light and now, she walked up that road. So it wasn't long ago that we didn't miss her by much. You'll obviously hear thousands of people who trying to track animals saying, "Oh, we've just missed her, we must have just missed her." It's a bit like, my fish. Thank you, Big Kev. You say I almost seem to be the bridesmaid and not the bride when it comes to finding leopards. I'm not sure how I feel about that, Big Kev. In fact, I am fairly sure how I feel about it, but I'm not sure that it's appropriate for me to express how I feel about it. Unfortunately, evidence would suggest over the last 2 weeks or so that you're absolutely correct. So I must take that on board, I must accept it, I must now let it out again. Louise says, maybe I will catch the bouquet today. Thank you, Louise. Not sure how I feel about that either. Right, we're going to check the dam, go back around that area, see if we get lucky. You're going to go back up to Ngala, where the cheetah, which Nikki predicted, materialized.
So we managed to just get a different position of where we saw the cheetah earlier on, and I just want to take the time so you can see where this one is in that little bit of grass that he's using as some cover. Now they're not currently hunting, but just look right in front of us here in the road. Just want to take the time just to show you right in front next to that green bush. You'll see there's quite a few impala now. They haven't spotted these cheetah. And I mean, this looked like an impala ram all by himself. Now earlier on there was a hyena that moved past, and I wonder, maybe because of the hyena moving past, he didn't see the cheetah at all. Maybe the cheetah are just waiting for him to move far enough before they would possibly try and hunt. You just never know with cats, especially cheetah. Like, it does look like they haven't had anything to eat. So you never know, maybe that they want to use any bit of opportunity. There are another few animals around. I can see a wildebeest as well right next to that impala. So they might just be waiting for the right opportunity. Because you can imagine, if they have to run quite quickly, it burns a lot of energy. So they need to make sure that they put it and that they'll be as successful as they possibly can be, or they set themselves up for success. If not, they'll be wasting a lot of energy, and for them, every little bit of energy is crucial for survival. But I think for now, let's head back and have a look. Kayleen, you asked a very good question. Do male and female cheetah share territories? So they do. Sometimes, just to give you an idea, a female would have, let's say, for example, this territory here, and right next to hers there may be another one. But a male might stretch over 3 or 4 females' territory. So the females don't really mix together, where there has been some records where they do often... I remember at andBeyond Pinda, we saw the scene the one day where a mother, or I've heard about it, where a mother with 5 youngsters moved closer to where there was a mother with 3 youngsters. They met up together and eventually left, and the one left with 4 youngsters and the other with 4. So, like, that has happened before and it has been recorded. However, oh, look at the big stretch. You can see the brothers also stood up and they're on this way. But just to get back to the territory, so the males and the females do share territories. However, the females don't share territory with others. The males will, however, their territory will span not just over 1 female, but maybe 2, 3, even 4 females. It does look like the Impala would have spotted these cheetah. And I don't know, maybe if those bushes were in the way, maybe the cheetah didn't see them. Or maybe they did see them, but they're choosing not to use that as an opportunity. And look at how easily they disappear, and whenever they move into quite a dense area, they disappear so quickly. So we're going to try and keep up with them. Like, we can just see them disappearing in the distance. So for now, I'm just going to drive around and see if there's maybe another way, if we can get a little bit closer to these cheetah. If they carry on the way that they're doing now, and they carry on in that general direction, they will eventually move out of the property. So we'll try and stick with them as long as we possibly can. So while we're going to try and stick with them, let's head across to Lauren, tracking some leopard. Marcel, I think there we go.
Oh, I'm trying to. That junction was very confusing. There's a male and a female, and I almost feel like there was another female. All walking around, all on top of one another. So we checked Mendoza Road, which Davy likes to call the road of nothing. We never find anything on Mendoza, and I agree. I've never found anything on Mendoza. But for some reason, something always tells me it's worth checking. So we're just quickly going to finish the west. The west is quiet. I haven't even seen a single bird. Really, really quiet, but it's worth checking. Claire, the big cats, i.e. leopard and lion, that would be the only two big cats that we get here, are more active during both sunset and sunrise. It really depends. They are the sort of perfect times, dawn and dusk, for the big cats to get active, especially on a cool morning like this. Sorry, every time I go live, someone decides to speak on this radio. I don't think I could possibly choose between sunrise and sunset, because it also depends on the weather, which season it is, and two, what that animal has been doing. But I think maybe sunset. Oh, I don't know. They're active at both, really, and they're primarily active all the way through the night. During the day is their resting time. They will move. They're not completely flat and snoring like humans would be, but daytime's the rest time. Avoid the sun, avoid the heat, and just rest and digest, really. But they're really active at both sunrise and sunset. The crepuscular times of day. That's a name that we give to both of those times, dawn and dusk. But you will see the cats starting to wake up. So if you're with them and that sun has set, slowly but surely, all the cats will start to wake up and get mobile. Okay, this is our last loop around the west, I'm afraid, and then we will head on to other parts of the reserve. The west is a tricky part of the reserve. Sometimes it can deliver so much, and then sometimes it can deliver absolutely nothing. Ah, dogs, dogs, dogs. Here's the dogs. Sorry, Louise. Dogs. We found them, Duffy. I'm looking for leopards and we got the dogs. Oh, I can't believe it. I think it's the same pack. I imagine it's the same pack. And do you know, I bet they have made a kill already. Oh, smell them. See, everyone, sometimes the west can deliver. I need to call them in now. Just bear with me. You can all watch this. I think it's the Sands pack. I think I recognize them. mobile stations. We've located my dash wild dogs heading south on Triple M. Fantastic. Okay, let's do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let me start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, this is the same pack from yesterday, I think. Thank you. Louise also counted 12. I'm glad, because I don't really trust my counting ability at the moment. Okay, Davy, shall we catch up with them a little bit? I need to get my wild dog out. There we go. Yeah, they've definitely killed already. Wild dogs are quick. They'll kill an impala and then it's over. It's done and they're on the move again. And the reason I think they've already killed is because they're moving slowly. Oh, no, don't down there, guys. That's not what we want. No, it's not. Okay, if they do continue on this trajectory, I'm afraid, everyone, we won't be able to follow. Oh, look at that. They're sniffing. You see that? Noses to the ground. No. Kiara, you're 11 years old from here in South Africa, and we can follow them if we want, but I'm going to just try and see if I can pop my nose in a little bit to see if they're doing anything. No, you just get a bum view, Davy. Are you able to see anything from here? I think they smell so bad because they regularly urinate on themselves and one another. I know, it doesn't sound very pleasant, does it? I just drove into a tree to give you that last view. Yes, we are now in a tree. And it's a strong urine smell, very, very strong. And we watched them yesterday greet one another. They all got very, very excited. I can still see them. Sorry, I just want to make sure that they don't end up turning back. And that's where the urine smell comes from. And that's what they smell of. But it's stale, it's old, it's strong, it's acidic. Copious amounts of urine on top of urine day after day. And that's the smell that we get hit with, I'm afraid. So you can't see them. And I'm in a tree. I can't go any further forward, but I am going to keep my eye on them just in case they turn back and we get to see them again. So as I do that, we are going to send you back across to Nikki with some cheetah.
So we just managed to find these two again, and they are moving. Like the impala already noticed them. You can hear them snorting in the background. But how special is this? So what we're going to do, just bear with me. So I'm just going to reposition the vehicle. Just going to reposition the vehicle so that we can have a better glimpse of these cheetah. Just going to go past this tree and then I'll turn. Just like, there we go. It was so interesting, like as they were moving the whole time, they're finding these big trees and they scent marking against them. So that might be their whole mission this morning, is just to move to all the big trees. Now, if you zoom out a little bit here myself, this is my thinking, what I'm thinking now, is you'll see on the left from where they are, there's quite a big marula tree. See on the left, there's a dead branch, and just above there's a big marula tree. And I think those cheetah are going to head there and probably scent mark. So what we're going to do is let us head there and see if those cheetah eventually go and scent mark. Because if I was a cheetah and I was a male cheetah, I want to probably mark my territory against something that is very prominent, something like that big tree. So let's do this. Got a risk it for the biscuit. We'll head straight to that tree, and just bear with me. It's going to take them not even a couple of seconds to get there, but that's what I'm thinking. They're probably going to head to that tree, pick up their tail, and start scent marking again. Let's have a look. Lev, you're asking a good question. Would the one brother scent mark on top of the other one? So normally they don't. They'll scent mark next to each other, but you just never know. Like, he might just do it, but without thinking about it. So now let's look at the tree right in front of us. Remember we said they're going to go to that big tree, so I'll just lean out of the way. But it does look like they're heading straight towards it. So let's keep our fingers crossed. You can hear the snorting of the wildebeest as well. There's the big marula tree. So you can see the one's moving off, but look at the other one. Here we go. You can see he's smelling the tree. Have a look. Remember we said, like, look at the tail now. So smelling. Tail up. Scent marks. Kayleen, you asked a very good question about do the male and female cheetah share territories. I think earlier on we brushed a little bit on it, but so normally they do, but the males will cover, their territory will probably expand over 3 or 4 females as territories. But the females, they don't really go into their territories. The males won't go into other males' territories unless they want to take over that territory. But the males could spread over a couple of females, and the females don't mind the males being there, especially if they're on heat and they're ready to mate. It's going to try and follow them again. They have moved off into more of an open clearing. So let's see if we can even see where the cheetah scent mark against this tree. Wonder if we'll be able to see it. Say again? No, it doesn't. It looks like it was a very fine mist spray over the tree. You can't really see it that well. But you can definitely smell it. Like a very strong urine-y smell. And as Marcel said, not like the popcorn smell that you find with leopards or even jennets. It looks like a little pan system ahead of us, and I wonder, like, if they have been moving quite a bit during this morning, if they might go and drink. So let's have a look. Beach Girl, you asked a really good question. Is there a difference between how the males and the females scent mark? Now, more or less, they do scent mark in the same way. Like, to be honest, I haven't picked up on any other behavior where maybe if someone knows about it or maybe someone has a better understanding about it. But other than rubbing their heads sometimes against a tree, they also, the females, just as the males, they'll pick up their tail and then spray against the tree. So it's almost general cheetah behavior. But I always agree that some individuals might approach it differently. However, from my experience with cheetah in general, that's both males and females, that's what you would find. You can see the Impala, they're actually in the open now looking at the cheetah. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, the distance between them is not even 60 meters away. And if these cheetah really had to, I'm sure they'll be able to take them down. But you can see they know they've been noticed. The Impala actually moving towards them, tell them that I have seen you. So now the cheetah are not too worried. They're just carrying Let's try and loop around. Now they are heading, as I said, if they carry on the way that they're doing now, we might just lose them crossing out of the property. So we'll try and stick with them as long as we possibly can. Because there's no guarantee we might even see them this afternoon on our game drive. So let's make the most out of this morning. Kai asked a really good question. Which one is more dangerous, leopard or cheetah? I would say, in terms of people, I would say leopard is actually slightly more dangerous, or is more dangerous than a cheetah. While we're here, I just want to focus on this impala right here in the middle, and then just see above it, we can see some ground hornbill. So just above him, in the distance, I think it might be a little bit to the right of that. Marcel? Yeah, there we go. So how special is this? We have cheetah and southern ground hornbill that we can see in the distance. And early on, I could actually hear them calling. Does it look like that one caught something? Might have been a stick, but I thought like I saw something like a snake. Or maybe a little legless skink or something. Probably already gulped it down before I got my binoculars on him. Just hear these, listen to these impala. Listen to the snort. Myself. Just have a look. I see this cheetah in front of us is crouching down. Look at the way that he is moving at the moment. So see the dead branch in front of us? Just over that. Looks like they have spotted something. So we just want to... Oh, there's actually some more impala. You know what could happen here is I have seen this behavior before where the one would distract the impala. Then the impala would look at it while the brother is actually going behind the impala. So there's a bunch of females. Just maybe go to the right of that. You'll see there's actually quite a few female impala looking at this one. And I think that's what he's doing. He is distracting him while the brother's looping around. Because I can't see the brother as we speak. So what we'll try and listen out for now is we're going to see as soon as that cheetah starts running, we'll try and keep up with them. But of course, we don't want to spoil the hunts. We're not going to go anywhere closer. We're just going to leave it be and see how the scene plays out. So I can just see the impala moving closer. Oh, you can see them moving? Let's just have a look. See the ram there. Does look like they have been chased. So let's get a bit closer and see if there's any signs of the... I can see the one cheetah moving. Oh, look. They're actually coming past us, these impala. Oh, here's the cheetah coming. Oh, I just want to see where the other brother is. I think what we'll do is... let's stick with this one because they have tried a hunt. I don't know where the brother is, if he was successful. So let's stick with this one. And we listen after that bird call, you know, that high-pitched bird call, and see if he joins up with his brother. You can hear all the lapwings have been disturbed. They probably had quite a few nests. But as I said, let's stick with this brother, because he might be going to where the other one might be. And if that one was successful, we'll soon hear about it. But I think for now, let's just see. I can't see the other brother. It does look like the impala are looking off to our right. There's some more here. Okay, look, see how the brother's picked up the pace? Alright, he's just stopped to listen out. Let's just quickly listen and wait. Because the other thing we don't want to do is we don't want to get too close, especially if the brothers need to call each other, that the noise of the engine might disturb them. So let's play it out. We are at a bit of a distance away from them. I don't know if everyone can hear that, the cheetah. This is the brother actually calling the other one. This is exciting because with the brother calling like this and the other one not responding, I have seen this before where the other brother has probably made a kill, or he's probably suffocating whatever he might have caught. And so that's why he's not responding. So he'll wait until whatever he has caught is probably gone, and then, or has passed away, and then from there on, he would respond to his brother. You can just see him behind the tree, and as I said, for us at the moment, a view is not the most important thing. What's more important here for us is not to disturb this animal too much and make sure that we can wait patiently and see if they do join up together. Just imagine when they do and they've been successful, even if they haven't been successful, like when the two brothers meet up again, just reaffirming that bond. Be special to see. So what I'm going to try and do is, while we wait to see if there's anything that comes from this, I'm just carefully scanning under the trees. I'm looking in the grass, looking out for any bit of movement. Now with cheetah, bear in mind they are very fast animals. And so, as we said, they don't rely on strength in order to take something down. They actually just rely on being able to take their prey down and suffocate it. Oh, here's the brother coming. I actually see the brother. I can't see any blood around his face. I don't think he was successful, but these two are probably going to join up. Let me just throw my head. You'll see the brother actually is coming out from our right now. Soon they're going to come join up again. You'll see there's an opening ahead. There's the two joining up again. So just reaffirming that bond. And often you see if the two males are like away from each other, they are very stressed and they'll call for one another. See, they are looking around quite a bit now. Just imagine now all the commotion that is made. So hyenas, possibly lions, leopard, anything could be in this area. And so now first, before they can continue moving, they need to make sure that everything is still safe around them. Okay, they have started moving. Let's follow them for a little while. But as I said, now for now, if they do carry on the way they are, we might start losing them. So this might be the last view that we got from them. But for now, let's head across to James with some squirrels, as we are going to try and follow these cheetah.
We have got 3 squirrels here, can you believe it? And they are very excited with each other. As you can see, we have a lot of what might be described as affection. Might be described as something else, but we'll just call it affection for now. Now, while you look at these squirrels, I must quickly give a big shout out to the crazy lockdown camp master 24 to 26 April 2020, people. Hannes and his mates in Centurion are obviously people who spend a lot of time in the bush, but unfortunately they are locked down, and so they have taken to their gardens in their tents, and they are, instead of going on game drive this morning with us here on virtual safari. So I hope you guys are having a good time in Centurion, and I hope also, most especially, that you will soon be able to get back to the real thing very soon. Now, these squirrels can spend up to 2 hours, apparently, at the height of winter, which we are not at yet, sitting on the branches grooming and basking before they go foraging and jumping on each other. The reason that's interesting is because it tells you that there's quite a lot out here for them to eat. They don't need to spend all day rushing around trying to feed. So it gives them lots of social time, which helps affirm the bonds in their little groups. What I can tell, it's apparently kind of mixed groups, normally a dominant male in charge, and that yawning thing that they do is too precious, isn't it? Oh, much mutual appreciation going on here. Squirrel massage. That's sweet. Yeah, Owen just saying he thinks they're a little bit more than buddies. Yeah, I think you could be right, Owen. I think they're certainly partial to each other, whatever the case. Thank you, Puma. Yes, Puma has been sending me telepathic messages for some time. And his question today is, why is it that squirrels spend so much time grooming? And Puma, that's a very good telepathic question. And the reason is, of course, because parasites are a major problem for all animals out here, especially those with fur. And so little things like this must spend a long time getting rid of parasites. Thank you for your telepathic question. This, of course, has got more than one function. This is definitely parasite removal, but it's also just affirming social bonds. The one on the right looks a little bit ashamed now. Don't worry. It's just what squirrels do. Go to the left again, Owen. It looks like... yeah, there's certainly... He's going to yawn. Come on, give us a yawn. That's the most affectionate one. He keeps nipping between the other two and giving them a groom. I had a comment from the final control, which unfortunately I don't think I can repeat. It wasn't dirty, it was just very funny. That's why I'm laughing. I had to tell you why I was laughing, but I can't tell you why exactly. You know what I mean? It was a Tiger King reference, just in case you're wondering. While you're looking at these squirrels, I'll just quickly tell you that Grant, who has a place in Torchwood and is currently staying at the camp in Torchwood, is going to follow those Tundi tracks, but most importantly, he's got a trail cam set up on the road where those tracks were going, so if she did walk past it, we'll be able to tell exactly what time she did as well, which would be nice. Right, we have enjoyed these squirrels immensely. We're going to press on from them, and you're going to go back to the cheetah. And I don't think that anybody could ever get sick of looking at cheetah for ages and ages.
So We just found the two brothers again. They were moving into a dense area where we couldn't see them, and they moved back into the open. But you'll see they have sat down in the shade. There are still a few impalas in the distance, but they've all quieted down a bit. And I think that's what they might be waiting for. Maybe for them just to quiet down and then they continue with their walk. Or they might be assessing an opportunity for a possible hunt. You'd never know. Like, the thing is with them being opportunistic. Now, earlier on, it was really hard for them in order to actually catch something because everything knew where they were. And even though the one distracted and the other one started running from the back, because they were on high alert, I think it was a lot easier for them, or when I say easier, it's for the impala to move away, being aware of these cheetah. Now, it'd be interesting to see what they're going to do from here, but for now they are just observing the area and scanning. Just look at the sunlight on the one here on the right. You'll see, even though he's looking in the opposite direction, look at how their ears are pointing backwards. So just for them to make sure that they keep that awareness of what's going on all around them. How's that? Just the two brothers looking back. Jackie, you were asking a very good question with the cheetah. Would these two brothers stay together for life? As they'll stay together for life. They form a brother bond. And until something happens to the other one, they will always be together. And it's such a strong bond, because you can imagine they grew up together, they learned how to probably kill their first prey with their mom, and eventually when they were kicked off or away from her or left by her, then they started of course sticking together. And for them, being a cheetah, they are very low ranked within the, if you had to compare them against some of the bigger predators, because of the fact that they are so quick and they had to give up quite a few things in order to be that quick. However, they do need to make sure whenever they do move that they have to rely on each other, because the more eyes and the more ears, the safer they are. And that's why you'll even see if they had to rest now, let's say both of them had to go, eventually from here on they will go and lay in the grass. One of them would always have their head up. And so the other one knows that at least my brother's here, so there's more chance of survival with both of us being here than being by ourselves. And also the other thing is, you can imagine, by having your brother with you, it's easier for them to take down something bigger whenever they do hunt, because now there's two of them instead of one, so they can start aiming things a little bit bigger than they would normally be able to. Marlo, age 5 from Singapore, you asked a very good question. Where do cheetahs go in order to sleep? Now, they are not like hyenas that will go into a den or maybe into a thick bush or anything like that. Where they would actually go is they'll find these open areas, and that's where they'll spend the night. So let's just quickly reposition the vehicle, because I know Marcel is trying his absolute best to turn the camera in the right direction, but unfortunately doesn't want to. We're just going to quickly swing our back in here and then come back onto the road. The cheetah are, as it seems, actually heading to that herd of impala that they chased earlier. So we'll see if they are still interested or they're just going to move past them. So one of my favorite things to do, especially also if there's kids on drive or even sometimes by myself, is with the cheetah moving on an area like this, their track or their paw print is on the ground. And if you take a little bit of plaster of Paris and you can pour it over the track, it molds it so you can have a cheetah track. So then I know, okay, these were the two brothers, so I actually have a mold of their tracks. It's so nice to do. And you can even do it at home for all the kids that want to try it out, or maybe research more about it, see how to make tracks, animal tracks out of plaster of Paris. Okay, let me stop. Now they've completely changed direction. So earlier on they were just marking their territory. Rafi from Melbourne, you asked a very good question. Are the black on the cheetahs, those tear marks, are they like sunglasses? Now apparently they do help with the glare. So I would say in a way it will act as sunglasses. So instead of reflecting light into the eyes, it actually absorbs the light. So therefore they're able to hunt into the sun, and also in the time when all the other predators, you can imagine like lions or leopard, when they're not hunting. So they had to have that special feature to them in order to help them with that. So I'm just going to slowly move forward here, and I'll quickly switch off, and then we can go in. But you can hear as we are talking, the impala, they definitely know they're here. And they also know that the impala know they're here, so that's why they're probably just carrying on moving. Now they are moving in the opposite direction of where they moved early on. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to go back into the same area, or are they going to go find a place to settle for probably the heat of the day. They'll move at least for another few hours. Well, that's what I think. So often when I say that, though, they'll probably go and lay down. But you just never know. There's actually right in front of them, there's another impala. So we're just going to move to the shade in front of us, and then we'll give them a bit of distance to see how it all pans out. Let's just stop here. Now, before we get anywhere close, you'll see just off to the right of the screen there's an impala. So we're going to wait here, see if there's any reaction. If that impala runs off, then of course we'll go closer. But if not, we don't know if that impala have seen the cheetah. And if we can, we want to give them the best possible chance. But this is so exciting. It's actually like they're teasing us this morning because they're going from one area to another, and then there's impala, and it's like, okay, what's going to happen here? And we don't know. Jackie, you asked a really good question. How do cheetah protect their prey from any other predator? Now, cheetah don't really, like, if there's two like this, they might be able to chase off a single hyena. They might, but the chances are the hyena could steal. Depends on how big the hyenas might steal it. Let's just see. Those impala are running. I'm just trying to have a look and see what those cheetahs are doing. No, they've changed direction, and those impala spotted them, so it tells us they weren't too interested. So we can go closer to the impala. But so they don't really, like, I've even seen a female cheetah being chased off her kill by a few vultures. So for them, basically what they'll try and do is, as soon as they can, they'll eat as quickly as they of course, as soon as they make a kill, they eat as quickly as they can, and from there on, they'll start moving away from it. Some of the ways they could protect it is maybe to drag it into the shade, so the vultures can't see it, or maybe attract other predators. But all they want to do is make sure that they keep it as quiet as long as they possibly can before they start moving off. Here we go. Now, earlier on, when we started our drives, I remember a few of the drives I said we could look out for cheetah, and some of the places you could find them is on a termite mound. So you'll see just where they're moving off now, there's a termite mound that they use as a bit of a vantage point. Now, if there's any tree, fallen down tree or another vantage point, they might just come up to use that to scan. Now, the direction they are heading is, as I said, it's earlier on, it's the same area that we were at where we first spotted them. But it'll be interesting to see where they're going to go from there. Are they going to continue more east, because all these areas are open, or they're going to go more in a westerly direction, which is a very dense area? And often cheetah, you don't really find them in too dense areas, because unless they are moving through it in order to get to more open spaces. But for now, they're still carrying on. So we'll follow them for a little while longer. For now, let's head across to Lauren with some dwarf mongoose.
Tiny, tiny little dwarf mongoose. May not be a cheetah, but definitely predators. And they're just starting to wake up, I think. They're very lazy. Dwarf mongoose will not come out of their termite mound or their burrow before that sun is well and truly up high in the sky. See the little red noses? Now, they won't always sleep in the same mound. They have a network of mounds and burrows and holes and crevices in their territory. And depending on which one they're closest to as the sun is going down, is which one they will choose. We saw 4 of them. There's definitely more in this mound. Normally, the longer you stay here, they become accustomed to your presence, and slowly but surely, they'll start to peek out. This is actually a termite mound very close to the hyena den. And the reason I'm coming this way is just to check the other dens in the area. Now, I haven't seen any signs of heart, but I really do believe that she may be the next one to give birth. So I just want to keep my eye on all the hyena dens that I know of. There's also a chance she may not be denning on Djuma, of course, but that's actually how we found Ribbon. We had suspicions about Ribbon, and then we decided to start checking all the mounds that we know. Now, Ribbon's not there, I'm afraid. I imagine she's on the northern cut line. Oh, hello. Good morning. On the Talamati's giraffe kill. We may head that way. I need to check where James is, but we may head up that way since the dogs crossed west into Arathusa. And Ribbon's probably on that giraffe carcass or waiting close by. Shadow Light, you're asking, are these mongoose adults? Yes, they are. We actually came across young ones, mongooselings, the other day, and they're tiny. They actually have a different facial shape as well, believe it or not. So if you look at the adults here, although they're very small, they're fully grown, they have quite a unique facial shape, and it goes out to a point at the snout. The offspring looked very, very different to this, and of course they're much, much smaller, if you can believe that. So yes, these ones are adults. I haven't seen any youngsters yet. Isn't this adorable? In a mongoose society, in a mongoose business, the females...
crossing over to Djuma.
Lovely little update for you all there. The females dominate the males with mongoose, and the alpha female is actually the largest. So there will be a difference in size. If you were able to see them all, you could probably figure out which one is the alpha female. She will be the largest. Sorry, everyone, I'm just distracted. Is this a tick? Oh my goodness, it's massive. Hold on, I'm just going to get my porky pointer and see if I can show you this huge tick that's walking across my car. Come on. Wow. It's a rhino tick. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get you a view of this tick, but it's huge. It's a rhino one. Can you see it, Davina? Not possible. Okay, I'm going to keep my eye on this tick to make sure that it doesn't end up on me. And as I do that, we are going to send you back across to Nikki with his cheetah.
So this is amazing. Like, they've just come back to that open area. So this is where we saw them earlier. You can see the one is smelling something on the ground. It doesn't look like he's eating anything, so it probably might just be in order to pick up all the scents that are in the area. Just lay it down. Do you see the one just flopped down? Let's have a look. The brother might just flop down next to the other one. Oh, there we go. Boof. Right next to each other. And I wonder how long they're going to stay here. It might be. Today it does feel like it is going to warm up, even though I still have my 2 jackets on. I think it might warm up to quite a bit today. And so later on, as it warms up, they might start moving to some of the trees in the back, just to get into the shade. But for now, I think for the next 20 or more minutes, they're not going to be heading anywhere pretty soon. But how special was that, though? Like this whole morning, just being able to follow them, see a bit of their behavior, see how they try to hunt. There's I don't know if anyone can see that bird that just, like it flicked its wings quite close to those cheetahs. Little brown bird with a bit of white across the eye. It's called an African pipit. And of course, these lapwings, you'll know, and then you hear this krok, krok noise coming, and that's from the crowned lapwings. And I wonder if these cheetahs haven't disturbed one of the nests. Andre, you asked a very good question. What is the size of the cheetah population in this park or in this area? Now, it's interesting though, because I've read a few articles, and I'm sure there's been quite a lot of changes. So now the first one I read was way back in 2005. They estimated around about 415 cheetah. But recently, I think they've only estimated like just below 200. To be exact, like there was another article I read, but it said 120, but I'm not too sure. I think we'll probably be looking at, let's say, just over 200, maybe 250 would be a good estimate of the cheetah in the area. I don't know if anyone has some more updated information about it. Like, I'd love to hear, but I remember like a few years ago when I read it was over 400, and then the population went down for quite a bit, and then it started recovering again. But I don't know if anyone has some newer updates for us on that. I would love to hear. Yeah, I think Marcel also reckons he thinks that in the whole South Africa there's only 1,000, and I know from previous on, I think there's less than 8,000 cheetahs left in the wild in these natural areas. So their population is, and the thing is, the reason why they're so endangered in terms of, or if you look at the greater picture, is because, of course, the more you go into areas where there's a lot of other predators like hyenas, lions, wild dogs, it does put a lot of pressure on especially the cheetah population. So what I think we'll do from here is we'll probably start heading on with our drive and see what other interesting things we can find along the way. But for now, let's head across to James with some waterbuck.
We have got a waterbuck staring at another waterbuck, who in turn was staring at a wildebeest, but has now turned his back on the wildebeest. That's a big waterbuck bull. I think he's the territorial bull of the area. There's some youngsters behind him, and another group of 4 youngsters up ahead. There we are. You can hear a roller calling overhead. Now we've got some action there. Quickly, Owen, to the right, we've got the young waterbuck approaching the wildebeest, who has turned his back. There we are. There is the young waterbuck, the wildebeest to his left. Right, sorry, to his right. Oh, look at this, everybody. Multi-species shot. Now, of course, a wildebeest's greatest predator is the young waterbuck, and the waterbuck looks like it may be sneaking up on its prey. What they do is they look like they're walking past nonchalantly and then suddenly take a chunk out of the wildebeest's bottom. The wildebeest, being the world's most gormless animal, just doesn't realize what's happening. For those of you who are thinking I'm being serious, I am not, in fact, being serious. The waterbuck is a herbivore, much like the wildebeest. And in fact, their diets are probably relatively similar in this clearing. Although you would normally expect to find the waterbuck in an ecotone, so around a seepline area, which I'm sure you're all fascinated to know, and also the wildebeest you would find more likely the bottomlands in the clearings, where the soil is a little more salty, or sodic, I suspect, where you've kind of area you've been watching the cheetah in. I don't know where they were exactly at Ngala. Just been too exhausting. Gosh. Little scratch on the back there, a Saturday morning scratch, a yawn. You know, that's the life of a teenager. Saturday mornings, get out of bed late, mooch around and go back to bed. Well, Matthew, this is a good question. Why are they called waterbuck? I mean, I'm willing to bet if you've been watching this show for, well, as long as it's been running, you've probably never seen one in water. Well, they're not great swimmers. They can apparently swim. There are two reasons they're called waterbuck, and I think the first one is, or the most likely one, is that they generally set up territories quite close to water. Those big bulls will set up a territory around water and then try and maintain it and keep ladies inside it and chase rival males out of it. And sometimes those fights can become pretty vicious. But you know, when grazing is not... So when this clearing has been denuded of grass, they move away from the water and they go into what I've described as the ecotone area. So the areas between two vegetation types, and most often in this part of the world, that's in sort of seepline areas where, you know, there's a different suite of grasses and quite a lot of sedges and that sort of thing. So, you know, they're also supposed to, the second reason they're called waterbuck is they're supposed to run into water when they're threatened by predators, but there are lots of animals that do that. Ngala do that, Impala do that, these guys do it. They're quite closely related cousins. This is just an Impala ram being an idiot. What a moron. They're closely related relatives, not the impalas, but the waterbucks, the lechwe, spend a lot of time in the water in the Okavango. I mean, what a ridiculous thing to be doing at this time of the year. I'd like to show a video of an Impala ram to him of himself, say in December, when all the testosterone's down, and say, do you see what you look like come April and May? And I think that they would feel very ashamed. Well, much like, you know, if you want to get a guy to stop behaving like an idiot in a bar, take a picture of him and say, now look, this is what you were doing last night. And he will say, but surely that wasn't me. And you will say, well, there is the video evidence of you mouthing off about something to that poor young girl who was very clearly trying to get away. I've just had Louise Pavid, the director, in my ear pretending to be an Impala ram in a bar. It was quite amusing. Well done, Louise. Perhaps you should do it live one day. Good. Well, that was very exciting, wasn't it, Owen? Is your heart rate slowed down?
If you go over the damn wall, there's elephant
Your heart rate slowed down? Okay, good. Well, let's just keep drifting slowly down towards the water hole here. I won't turn the engine on. I shall probably have to remove my jacket, however, because it is getting very hot. We will go across now to Lauren, who I think is in the... Well, she may be going north. I don't know where she is. She'll tell you, though.
I don't even know where I am, James, to be honest. But I know what I have. I thought this little guy was dead, but he's definitely at the end of his life cycle. This is a hawk moth, and you can tell straight away it's hawk moth by the body shape and design. But we keep getting the occasional flutter, so I think maybe there's still some life there, which is very, very sad. But it's definitely at the end of his life cycle. You can see that furry head. Moths are known to have really, really sort of fluffy heads, lots of hair on the end of the head there. Fat body that sort of tapers off to a point here. Now, I'm just going to turn it around and see if we can get a view of the antenna for you. You got it. Blown about in the wind there. But with moths, they can also have long, sort of straight antenna, but they don't have clubs at the end, so they're not club-like towards the end. They're just straight right up to the tip. Oh, there you go, Daffy. Perfect. And that's another way we know it's a moth. Butterflies can also have long, straight antenna, but they will have a bulbous club-like shape at the end there. But this is a hawk moth, and sadly, it's definitely at the end of its life cycle. And I'm just going to point out something else here with my porky pointer. Just here, you can see the wings are starting to go transparent. Can you see that? Sorry, my hand is probably shaking. Just in here, there's patches. And that's because the layers of chitin that make up the scales have started to fall off. And that's another way to tell if a butterfly or a moth is at the end of its life cycle. The wings start to look really, really tattered. And when you touch the wings... Oh, okay, this one is still alive. I apologise. It's definitely on its way out. Oh, I'm sorry, little one. But they're designed to have very, very short life cycles. They're not supposed to live long. Both adult butterflies and moths are sort of, as an adult, are there to reproduce. I'm not sure what to do with you now that I know you're alive. There we go. We're just going to put you over there nice and safely. But I don't think we're going to see this individual fly again. So the adult phase is all about reproducing, and reproducing. Whereas the caterpillar phase is all about eating, get as big and as fat as you can get so that you will turn into the best version of your adult self, be it butterfly or moth. Zach and Kai, you're ages 7 and 5. I'm not actually sure. I think it's to do with the shape of the body. It's got a quite unique body shape in comparison to other moths. Generally, sorry, I'm just watching these Impala. There's 4 females here that look just a bit nervy, don't you think? I'm just going to stop a little closer to them. They're not alarming, but they don't entirely look best pleased with life. Let's just take a look here. 4 of them. What's up, ladies? So yes, it's to do with the shape. I guess maybe it's similar to a hawk, the bird. It's got a very, very unique shape in terms of the body and the wing structure. So I think that's why they're called hawk moths. But they're incredible. You get the most beautiful, beautiful hawk moths, all sorts of colours. The oriental hawk moth and the hummingbird hawk moth are absolutely stunning. I think they're my favourite moths, actually, if I had to choose one. Where's the rest of your herd? Did the doggies separate you this morning? They've gone west on Arathusa, guys. Yeah, they're definitely definitely nervous, but I just can't figure out why. Okay, we really are heading north now to scratch around, see if we can get any hyena action. And as I bumble upwards, we're going to send you back across to Nicky and see what his plans are now.
So I'm just trying to have a look. We've left those 2 male cheetah. They've just gone in that big open area, laid down. They haven't moved since, so they might be there for the next 20 or 30 minutes. Maybe this afternoon we can go past there and see if they're still in the area. But for now, because it is warming up, we're going to go past one of the waterholes, see if there's anything. I know Alice earlier on asked if there were giraffes, so see if we can find those giraffes, maybe coming down to drink, or maybe even signs of them. But also, this is a time where we could be looking out for buffalo or elephants. And then we'll be scanning out the trees. You never know with leopards, especially like if they had made a kill and maybe there was some hyenas around. We saw a hyena earlier on where the cheetah were and it was heading up in this direction. So we'd never know maybe if there could have been a kill or maybe like there were some sounds. Could just be heading off to the den, but you just never know. So we'll be scanning those trees as we are heading down to that waterhole. It's the same one where we stood this morning. So as I'm driving, I'm just carefully looking. Marcel's also doing a very great job at the moment. He's scanning all the trees and the grass, looking out for that little bit of white, especially for the leopard. With buffalo, especially if there's a big herd of buffalo, sometimes you can see dust in the distance as they are moving down to the water. Elephants, of course, branches, especially if there's a big herd around. For now, we are carrying on to the waterhole. Now, this is the waterhole. I remember a few days, I think it was 2 days ago when you drove with Roan, you saw the lines near the one waterhole. So that's where we get, like we're heading off in that direction now. And once we get there, let's see what we can find. Megan, I do agree. Like, I also haven't seen a cheetah in such a long time. So that was so special. Like, words can't describe it. I think the excitement once I heard it was cheetah was just like boiling in me. I was like, let's just get there and have a look. Because, yeah, I think, to be honest, in that area, I've never ever, my whole life, at Ngala, I mean, I haven't been here for too long, but during my time, whenever I came, and especially now on a more permanent basis, I have never seen cheetah there. So that was really special. And I mean, like, just bearing in mind there were 2 males, seeing their behavior, interpreting a bit of it, like learning from it. It's just amazing. A beautiful morning and a beautiful start. And the thing is, this morning, even Marcel and I said, you know, we got to risk it for the biscuit. We haven't seen cheetah. We've given it a few, like, opportunities where we would go and scan, but we said this morning we're going to try and do this. And we were so lucky when Rowan and Sean called us and said they just found it. It wasn't far, not even half a kilometer from where we were. So Marcel says we would have gone in that direction, or we would have gone in more this direction to go look for cheetah, but doesn't matter, we actually found them. Not us, the other rangers, but of course it's so nice to be part of that team. Oh, and giraffe. So Alice, you were asking about the giraffe this morning. I think age 12, New Zealand. Here we go. He's actually going to move. So myself, if we give it some time, he's going to move from the left to the right. He might even come into the road. There we go. He's a pretty dark giraffe, like, oh, look at that. Just quickly picking up his tail, and there was an oxpecker trying to get some of the ticks underneath his tail. You just see the oxpecker like coming back up, and then on his neck there's some more oxpeckers. Just look at how elegant, like, the way that he strides. He's actually walking. There's a few wildebeest just off to his right. I'm just gonna lower my head so they don't get my head. Rava, I agree with you. We do need Marcel's fact of the day, but I do need to tell you there's also another little treat. Now, I never knew that Marcel was so talented in animal calls. To be honest,
Lies.
No. We go. No, come on. Give me a chance to speak. So, Marcel, actually, so I would say probably the best imitation of an African wild dog call. Not the whoop call, the other one, like the little finer one whenever they catch something. So with the fact of the day, we're going to get Marcel to do that because it is priceless. I've never heard, I actually, when he did it, I laughed for half an hour before they actually got to us. So that's what we're going to try and do. If we do find a nice, beautiful spot, I can actually hear him like doing the call now. You know that nervous little, not trying to get it. No, you are doing it, Marcel. All the viewers now around the world are looking at you, and that's what they want. And the kids, do it for the kids. All 10,300 viewers are waiting to hear Marcel do the call of the African wild dog. Yes, Marcel, you are such a legend. I can't wait.
Lies and deceit.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so special. So while we're going to find a very special place to go and do our fact of the day and the African Wild Dog Call album from Marcel, let's head across to... Who are we heading across to now? Lauren. Let's go to Lauren.
We have found a monitor lizard, and it is the monitor lizard, the one that is always on this dead knobthorn at Gowrie Dam. But we're actually just passing through to get to the north, and there was Franklin's alarming right next to those impala. I've got a feeling something could be here. Those impala were very, very nervous. Then we came across more impala that were nervous, and then there was Franklin's that were seriously unhappy, which is why I've stopped on the wall. It's a good vantage point. Turned off the engine, and of course we spotted Mr. Lizard here. Is that the grebes? Bubbling away. Sunbathing, this monitor lizard is. Because of course they need to get their energy for the day. Now this monitor lizard is it's a water monitor lizard, and it's very, very close to that grebe's nest. So those little grebe parents did very, very well to protect their little eggies, because monitor lizards are ferocious predators. Where's this wind coming from all of a sudden? I'm not sure if you can hear that bubbling call of the grebe over this wind. It's one of my favourite bird calls. Louise is saying she can hear the wind blowing. Wow. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Lou. It's just for you. So the monitors can be territorial, and this is definitely this one's territory. I can best bet you will always come here and find this monitor. I think they're fantastic. I absolutely love them. Both the rock monitor and the water monitor. they actually have quite formidable teeth inside those jaws. And this is, of course, for crushing. But they're not sharp like you would think they would be. They're more like little rounded pegs. They're very rounded at the end, and this is to allow them to crush. They don't need to slice or tear. They're used for crushing. And they'll crush all sorts of mollusks. Excuse you, Dewey. Mollusks and any other exoskeletons of animals. They'll crush right through them. Wow, Dewey is putting on quite a performance here. I'm not sure what he's up to. He's gone back underwater, but hold on. He's leaping out of the water. Illuminara, you are asking, will it get so cold that the water monitors won't be able to move? They will most likely go into the burrow before that. Once it does get too cold in the heart of winter, most reptiles hide because they do rely on the warmth and the heat from the sun. So we see reptiles, less and less as we go into winter. Snakes will begin their brumation period. Tortoises will find burrows underground, and we won't really see the monitor lizards as such. You may still find them, depending on what kind of winter we do have. Especially the water monitors. We'll spend a lot of time around the water, believe it or not. But yes, we'll see them less and less, but it's not that they won't be able to move. They will just become a lot more inactive and spend most of their time in little burrows. As much as I would love to wait on you, Dewey, the reason I want to head up north is just off Buffelshoek cut line. The Talamatis killed a giraffe last night, and it's about 50 meters in to Buffelshoek, so we can't traverse there, but I want to go there just in case we can see any hyena action or scavenger action, and just check out the area and see what's going on. You know how much I love my scavengers. Ah, what a drive so far. Those dogs have exhausted me. And of course, if you guys are still enjoying our drives, 6 hours a day of us, you have to put up with all of our voices. But if you are enjoying it and you feel like you're learning something, you are welcome to support us. You can head over to the website, wildearth.tv/support, and offer any support that you may wish to do. Okay, so we're just going to race to the cut line. We might see nothing. The Talamatis might have moved the carcass further in, but we might see something. I think I do see a vulture sitting over there. We may have found our first scavenger. So as I bumble a little bit closer, we are going to send you guys back across to James for an update.
We are on the eastern boundary again, wondering if maybe she won't emerge with her babies. But I don't see any sign. We backtracked her quite a long way into Djuma and then back out down to the south. So I think she was on a territorial patrol. Maybe she's got a kill. Maybe she'll come back. I don't know. Only time will tell, and of course the tracks. And if we've got any luck at all, which I very clearly don't, the actual animal. Tracks went up onto the termite mound, back down again, up onto the road. Anyway, we're going to do sort of one last turn through the center of Djuma, see if we can maybe catch up with that herd of elephants again. Prashant, no, I don't do WildEarth safari guiding exclusively. I take private safaris as well. You can find out about those on my website, jameshendry.co.za, and I'm actually posting a new itinerary for 2021 there today. 2 itineraries for 2021 there today, if I remember, which I hope I will. Very exciting. Thank you, Louise. Louise is overwhelmingly exciting. Kelly, you would pay for me to be your therapist. Kelly, if you paid for me to be your therapist, I can almost guarantee you'd be worse off afterwards than you would beforehand. You know, I'll give it a go. I'm happy to give it a go, but you have had the disclaimer. Anybody else want therapy? Let me know. I'm happy to do it for a fee. I do guarantee the results, actually, and I don't think they'll be what you expect them to be. Yes. As Owen says, I guess it depends what's wrong in the first place. I want to think how best to describe my experience with therapists. I was sent to a few psychologists as a youngster, not because, well, maybe they did think there was something wrong, but I was told it was because I needed to do some aptitude. And I'm let's go this way. No, let's not go. Should we go this way? I don't know which way to go. I think let's go this way. So many choices, spoiled for choice. Oh, you didn't all hear my story about the therapy. We had some signal breakup. So I was sent off to psychologists. It makes it sound like I spent my childhood in therapy. I didn't. I was sent off to a few psychologists who were going to test my aptitude because it seemed that I wasn't performing like I was supposed to be at school. And I left there feeling that it was a great injustice that A, these people were being paid, and B, that they'd been given some kind of qualification from a formal institution of learning. That was my first impression. One of them said I should have been... What did she say I should have been? I suppose she was relatively accurate. She said I should have been a high school teacher, but I'm not convinced that would have been a good idea. There's an impala. There we go. He's disappearing into the bush, of course, because we look like terrifying predators, don't we? That was really up there with our top sighting zone. Yeah. There is a Gabar goshawk. Oh, and if we can get that, that would be quite special. It's flown into the top of that saffron. Just put the camera into the saffron there and let's just see if we can't get him. I'll see if I can spot him with my binoculars. That's a pity.
Saffron being whistling.
Yeah. I see him not. In the Eleodendron bush. You think he went beyond Eleodendron somewhere else? Okay, let's leave him. Oh, this is going to be amazing. Not only is Marcel going to give us a fact of the day, he's also going to give us his impression of a wild dog.
So this is the moment that everyone has been waiting for. The moment where Marcel's going to share his fun fact, but of course, do the African wild dog call. This is going to be my highlight.
Way to throw a friend under the bus. Thanks, Nikki. Okay, let me try. The wild dog is... I know it's horrible, but yeah.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Sounds like the pups.
And then the fact Okay, Quetzalcoatl was... oh, sorry, there was just some voices in my ear. Quetzalcoatl is an Aztec god of wisdom and wind, and then he's approximately equivalent to Kukulkan of the Mayan Mayan societies, and Kukulkan is just also associated with agriculture, rulership, and earthquakes. Yeah. And they're both feathered serpents.
Alright, on that note, I think what we're going to do from here is let's carry on with our search. We are still looking out for possibly elephants, buffalo, and then there were some leopard tracks earlier on that we saw in the area, so those are the ones that we're going to be looking out for. Quickly just drop that down. Here we go, all ready to go. I actually had to, like, if you look at the tree in front of us, it's a beautiful jackalberry tree, and I decided, you know what, at least when Marcel shares this fact, it had to be quite a beautiful place. And this is one of my special areas. Thanks, Marcel. That was pretty awesome there, a little wild dog call there. So let's head across. We're still going to carry on with our search, but for now, let's head across to Lauren with the Lioness.
I have one of the Talamatis, everyone. The carcass must be there. The smell is overpowering. Even Davi can smell it. He's got a terrible sense of smell. I'm only joking. It's overpowering, and we've just got a visual of a lioness, and it's a Talamati pride. It's so nice to meet you. I feel all giggly and nervous. Vultures all up ahead. The carcass has to be there. And I imagine if this was winter, everyone, we would probably have a delightful view of many more lions and the carcass, but sadly it's summer. Is that a hooded? Yes, I think just looking by that. Yeah, that's a hooded vulture. And there's some white backs on other trees behind us. We'll try and give you a view of them in just a bit. But of course, we've got a lioness. Now, if it's an adult giraffe, actually, even if it's a youngster, they're going to be on this carcass for quite some time. We may have a chance to see more of the Talamatis. They may end up popping down onto the cut line to rest. But so far, we do have one of them. Now, just for those who maybe are new to joining us, the Nkahuma pride is the main dominant pride over Djuma. But right now we are positioned on our northern boundary and we're looking into the property called Buffelshoek. And we can't traverse this property, I'm afraid, but we can look in. We're on a boundary line. There's absolutely no issue with having a little look in. And the Talamati pride are the dominant territorial pride to the north of the entire property of Buffelshoek. The Nkahumas are actually an offshoot of the Talamatis a long time ago, so we really don't get to see this pride. Sometimes they push down into Djuma. James got very lucky with them not so long ago, but it's really not a common occurrence. They rarely step into Djuma that we get to see. But they may just do that. Now that they're on the boundary line, we may actually get to see more of them. Especially this evening. This might give great promise for this afternoon. Because I imagine during the heat of today, they're going to go flat. Oh, this is so exciting. I've never properly met the Talamatis. It's the only lion pride in the entire area that I've not really had the pleasure of meeting properly. I've met the Torchwood Pride, the pride to the east that, believe it or not, are mostly on Torchwood, and the Styx Pride, who are very nomadic at the minute. They used to be the dominant pride over Djuma, and then they quite literally up Styx and left, and then the Nkahumas came in. But the Talamatis I have yet to meet. Now, we speak about the Avoca Coalition, and it's a coalition of 3 males. We see Blondie and Mohawk with the Nkahumas all the time. But the third member is Darkmane, and he is always with the Talamatis. He's quite severely injured, so I do think that his sort of mobility is hindered and his movements are, well, they're not great. So it's easier for him just to stay with one pride, eat up all their food, and live a great life with the ladies. This is such good news. It was so worth coming up here. Haven't seen any hyenas, I'm afraid. I was hoping for some spots. I'm spots obsessed. Leopards, cheetah, and hyenas. I wonder where that carcass is. It's definitely somewhere here, judging by the smell. And for those of you who may be watching last night, we had Sands pack of dogs, the same one as this morning, very mobile, heading west on this cut line, and something gave them a fright and they ran. It was the lions. This is exactly where we had them. They heard the lions and they ran. Has she gone flat now? I don't think we would have spotted this lioness, Davy, if she was flat. Light in the sky. We actually have a game drive radio that you often hear going off. You can hear other people's voices. And this is a radio that connects us to all other vehicles and lodges and people in the area. And you must call in your sighting. So last night this was called in that the Talamatis killed a giraffe. So we know other people can traverse this property. We just can't, sadly. Oh, there we go.
Mobiles, Dave here. I've got...
Right on cue. Now, I know this is not the best visuals, but sadly it's all we have. I am going to try and move forward and move a little bit back in just a moment and see if we can see any other members of the pride. But at the moment, this is all we have. Ah, well done, the Talamatis. Giraffes are not easy. Neither are buffalo. And talking of buffalo, it appears that Nikki, all the way at andBeyond in Ngala, has some buffalo for you.
So we were talking about buffalo earlier on, and as we entered the riverbed, there's quite a big herd that's already passed through, but there's quite a few of the members and now still trailing behind. So they actually came from a waterhole. Just have a look at the one in the middle. It looks like one of the bulls, probably just waiting for the rest. Now, often with buffalo, they are very water dependent and they need to drink twice a day. And I wonder if how far this herd had to move to come and drink. And now, after finishing drinking, see, the one is going back to the water, maybe just to go grab a drink. And then from there on, they'll probably start feeding into the area. Now, the rest of the herd is behind us. And if we do hear more of the oxpeckers, I'll let you know, and then we'll be quiet at that time so everyone can hear it. But there's quite a few oxpeckers that flew out of the bush initially. And then we were able to spot those buffalo. But look at the size of this one coming towards us. The size of his horns. He is massive. Just look at how deep, he sinks into the river sand. You'll see every step he puts, how deep it goes in. And on his back, you'll notice those oxpecker birds, the ones that pick off all the ticks. Is that a little blade of grass in his mouth? I don't know if everyone can see, but it looks like he's probably grabbed a bit of grass before he started moving off. Darty, and you're asking a really good question. How many water holes do we have at andBeyond in Ngala? So from the permanent ones, according to my knowledge, there should be, just trying to think off the top of my head, probably around 5 or so. However, some of the smaller ones, there's quite a few scattered around, and I do not know the exact number because like this one where the buffalo came from now is in the river, so most of the year there could be water, but then on very dry times there's no water in this one, so it's not a very permanent one. And there's quite a few of them, so all these clayey soils, often after a good bit of rain, they'll you'll see some, there's quite a bit of water there and animals are attracted to it. And that's often what makes game viewing difficult, is when there's quite a few water areas around, because then they don't necessarily have to cross big distances in order to get to water. They can just get it almost anywhere. Now with these buffalo, like just based on the grass around us, they've probably been at our side of this bank and moved all the way through, and also judging by the tracks in the riverbed. And now they're feeding all the way back now. You can just see the one above these, like towards the group. There's one just came running down, and you just see this cloud of dust. Let's just see, you see the other ones are actually looking back at him. Let's try and hear if everyone can hear the oxpecker birds flying off of them. You'll just hear this very high-pitched noise, and so often if you had to walk in the bush and you hear these oxpeckers flying up, you know it could be a buffalo, or maybe even, it could be anything. I mean, it could be impala, it could be zebra, but often if you do walk and these oxpeckers fly up, it's a good chance just to go and listen out a bit, because it could be a buffalo bull laying in the bush. You can see there's a few actually coming down the bank here. So if I can point at one on the right, you'll see the one coming down. So you see the two younger ones, but look at this one coming down. So that's a female. I'll tell the difference now. But look at how big her belly is. So she's quite heavily pregnant. And I wonder if not in the next week or two, we might see a little buffalo calf with her. So if you look at her horns, have you noticed the horns are very thin, like especially around the head? Now, if you would have compared that against the bull we saw earlier, you've noticed it almost looks like he wears a wig. And I'll try and see if Marcel can focus on the bull off here to the far left. Oh, look at this one coming towards us. It only has one horn. See the one on the right there?
Yeah, the bull's behind the trees for me.
Yeah, if we do see some of the bulls, we'll point out, but that looks like a cow that's broken off her horn. That's very, very interesting to see. And I wonder what could have caused that. Maybe, like it was running away from lions, it then eventually ran into a tree, and that's how it broke. Because often especially with the cows, they don't fight with each other. The males are often for dominance, but not the females. And so
look at a deep curl on the remaining one.
You see the other one is very deep, the curl. See how she's constantly stopping and smelling as well. And I can imagine with that, I'm just trying to see if I can see if that hole is all sealed up, or if you can still see a little part of the tissue. Just quickly have a look. It does look like there's a hole, and I can see a little bit of red. Jessica, age 7 from Nairobi, you asked a very good question. With a buffalo herd, are they led by a female or led by a male? So a herd is normally led by the most experienced individuals within a herd. So in this case, it will be a lot of males, so a lot of the bulls, and sometimes a lot of the females that could initiate it, but it will be some of those that are very experienced and quite elderly in age, and they will be the ones leading them. However, when bulls get to a certain age, like so when they go past the age where they no longer be able to keep up with the rest of the herd, then you might find that the herd start pushing him off, and he will then lead his own way. But when it comes to a herd like this, normally it's by these individuals called pathfinders, and they're the ones that will lead the herd. So I can imagine even this cow here, she might even be part of that. But I think the initial herd that's behind us, there'll be a few more experienced individuals that would lead the rest of the herd. And you'll see often with buffalo, whenever they do move, they tend to move into the wind. So if there's any danger, they'll be able to smell that and pick it up. But for now, we are going to view them for a little bit longer, but as soon as they cross, we'll carry on. Let's head across to James with some elephants.
This is a good way to end our drive. We've got some elephants here. I've had a strange question from Zalay and Micah, who are Twitch viewers, wanting to know if we get zombies in this part of the world. Not as far as I'm aware. Don't think we get zombies in this part of the world. It's possible that we get elephant zombies, but no. I think zombies only occur in other parts of the world. There was a zombie impala at one stage, that is correct, yes. This elephant having a delicious grass breakfast. Owen, you won't be having grass for breakfast, will you? Probably an eggie. And a croissant. And then Owen will probably make us a poiki course or stew for supper. Thank you, Owen. So lovely and peaceful. Just the wind blowing through the grass, the odd flap of ears. A glorious autumn day with slightly watery sunshine. Tammy, this is a very common misconception, really not helped by what I like to refer to as the biological travesty that was the Lion King. Elephants do not have a graveyard, no. But the reason that people think that they do have an elephant graveyard is quite interesting, and that is because we tend to think of bones as being things that don't disintegrate. So bones in the bush, we imagine being there forever. And I think it's got to do with the fact that we almost think that fossils are bones, which of course they aren't. And because elephants have such huge bones, we'd expect to find them around the place, but we don't. And that gave rise to the thought or idea that perhaps elephants go to some special place to die, and that's why we don't find their bones. But in actual fact, there are two reasons we don't find a huge number of well, there are three reasons we don't find a huge number of elephant bones. Firstly, bones disintegrate just like any other part of a living creature. They just take a bit longer. So if you leave a bone out in the sun and the rain for a while, it will eventually disintegrate. It takes a lot longer than flesh, but it will go. Secondly, elephants go down towards the rivers to die because their teeth wear out, and so they look for much softer food as they get older, and it's quite possible that their bones end up in the rivers where they'll disintegrate even faster. And thirdly, scavengers move them. So we had an elephant die not too far from here. When was that? That was probably 2 years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago now. There's nothing left of that carcass. The bones have all been moved off, but for one or two of the biggest leg bones, and even those have been dragged to disparate places. And so that's why you don't find a lot of elephant bones. There's a quite sweet interaction going on here. Yeah, I think maybe the little one trying to think about suckling, but is probably a bit big. And she just came to check us out and decided we weren't a danger. No Rebecca, no zombies, no werewolves, no vampires, other than my wife, of course. We do sometimes get tokoloshi from time to time, and of course uvusi, the magical mongoose. My wife is not really a vampire, everybody. She's just got red hair. And I think most redheads are vampires, aren't they? All right, let's go back to Lauren and her lioness for the end of the show, and we'll sit here for just a few minutes more enjoying the peace.
Our Lioness is just watching us. We went forward, then we reversed, then we sort of wiggled the car, and you were very lucky with this one. We can't see anybody else either. Can't see any other Lionesses or Darkmane, but of course they could be there. It's just so thick. But I really, really hope they come down a little bit onto the cut line for this afternoon. It's so lovely to see them. And I've briefly, of course, I've seen visuals of them, and I had a little look at when James had them last at Buffelshoek Dam. And I have to say, I think in terms of size, individually, the Talamatis appear bigger. The Lionesses appear bigger than the Nkuhumas. They're very large Lionesses. Have you just gone flat on us, girl? I think you have. Marcus had to be here somewhere. And I got told last night it was 50 metres into Buffelshoek. Now, this lioness is closer than 50 metres, so I wonder if she herself has moved, but the others are just a little bit further in. Let's take a look at this hooded vulture, who's waiting patiently for any moment to grab a snack. Vultures are incredibly patient. They'll wait, and they will wait. It must be worth it for them to be this patient. It must pay off. And a vulture is said to eat over 10% of their body weight, which can be any sort of amount of meat up to about 1 kilogram, 2 pounds. They can, of course, store additional meat in their crop. Vultures have a crop, a special pouch of their esophagus that they can store meat in. Oh, what a fantastic ending to the show. And don't forget, you are welcome to head over to the website if you wish to support us. From wild dogs to elephants to lions, cheetah, vultures. It's been an incredible drive. I really did have a feeling about those wild dogs this morning. They sent us on a bit of a crazy journey, but we got there. Great hopes for this afternoon, I must say. And I also must say a big thank you. Thank you to everyone jumping on board. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you for all your comments and questions. And of course, please do jump on board this afternoon. Bye for now.